Bernie bros, man. But he's authentic. Yeah, he's an authentic moron. I want to play this cut last night, short, brief, of Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Bernie Sanders won the New Hampshire primary again. I say again because he won it back in 2016 when he was running against Hillary Clinton. But Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Socialism, a system of governing and central planning responsible for the death of literally hundreds of millions of people who have been killed, murdered, tortured, put in gulags, put in forced labor camps, because that's what central planning, socialism, and communism do. And for those of you who say, well, there's a difference between socialism and communism, there is not a difference. They both revolve, their universes revolve around the sun of central planning and the government ownership of the means of production. That's it. You can philosophize and try to wax philosophic all you want. You will never change that immutable fact that when the government runs the economy, your political freedom is irrelevant because you work for them. Well, what if I refuse? Don't worry, they'll just kill you, torture you, or put you in a forced labor camp. That's what socialism and communism are. The Democrat Party last night in New Hampshire, for the second time in a row, because Bernie, you can argue, won the Iowa caucus too. He was so close to boot edge that it's irrelevant, the difference. So now you have the Democrat Party fully backing a man advocating a system that has snuffed out the lives of hundreds of millions of people. Now, listen to Bernie last night, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to warn you before this. It's quite short. It's not overly dramatic. I just want to warn you what he says here. Bernie, he's not kidding. Check this out.
Our campaign is not just about beating Trump. It is about transforming this country.
Transforming what? Again. No? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, worse. Transforming what? We are the richest, wealthiest, most prosperous, freedom-loving country in the history of humankind. Sadly, the history of humankind, Homo sapiens sapiens, has been pillage, plunder, depravity, starvation, monarchy, tyranny, oligarchy, and otherwise. That changed with our revolution, a liberty-based revolution, where we have a country now bedrocked and steeped in individual freedom, or we used to. You want to transform that into what? You want to take the locus of control away from the individual, and you want to put it back again with government bureaucrats and central planners who are going to dictate our economy, our education system, and our healthcare system. And if you don't comply, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Like that delegate we saw from Virginia, that hapless clown, Mark Levine, the Democrat, not Levin, Levine, the delegate from Virginia, talking about what? Oh, Virginians will comply. Oh, you will comply with their gun confiscation in Virginia. Oh, what happens? What happens if you don't? Bracelets, handcuffs, what happens? Prison, what's next? Transform what? You're going to transform what, Bernie? What's your alternative? You think liberty was easy? You're going to transform us into what? One of those socialist utopias that they talked about in the Soviet Union? Yeah, you know, those utopias that were built on dirt, 6 feet of which was about, not even 6 feet because they were shallow graves, maybe a half an inch of dirt over the hundreds of millions of bodies they had to bury to get to that socialist utopia that collapsed, by the way. Democrats out there, what are you thinking? You know, folks, I'm tiring rapidly of these socialist, quote, revolutionaries. I'm tiring them. I'm done with them. I'm done with it. I'm done with the bull. I'm done with it. You know what socialist revolutionaries are? These are people, clowns, jokers, and tyrants who've never had a real job. And the reason they want to impose the pain of forced labor, government planning, and bureaucracy on you, where they take over your factories, your businesses, your education system, and your healthcare, where you have to get the permission of a Bernie Sanders anointed, bow tie wearing government bureaucrat, is because they want to oppose that pain on you because they've never felt that pain themselves. Socialist revolutionaries are frauds. These are not brave soldiers. These are frauds. These are Antifa-like cowards who sit there with their black masks, and the minute you turn around and punch one of these morons in the face, they run crying home to mommy, begging for a s'mores. Bernie Sanders wants to impose the pain of you having to work for the government by giving him your money via taxes, by turning over your healthcare system to him, and by turning over your kids' education to him. The triumvirate of issues that really matter: education, healthcare, and the economy. Bernie wants all of that away from you and with him and his minions. And he wants to impose the pain of that on you because he's never experienced that pain himself. These people are losers. They are losers at life. When you look at people, Cuban refugees, Venezuelan refugees, fleeing the pain and horror and starvation of socialism and government planning, you notice one thing in common with almost all of them, especially here in Southwest Florida, where I live. You know what you notice about them? None of them are socialists. Because they understand the pain of having to work for a living, but being free, being a free man or woman, getting your fingernails dirty in the support of you or your family, that there's honor in work and there's honor in freedom, and that there's no honor or dignity at all in having to work and subordinate yourself to a sleazeball bow tie wearing government bureaucrat who uses the threat of force to force you to work, and if you don't take him up on the offer, you wind up your asses in jail. Revolutionaries. You could take your socialist revolution and stick it up your caboose.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.